In this video, you'll learn how to create very customizable sidechaining and complex pumping effects like this. It's like sidechaining the instruments to the kick, but you can create more engaging patterns. This effect can be achieved by drawing volume automation directly in your DAW. However, I like to do it with a plugin called Shaperbox by Cable Guys. It has this module called VolumeShaper, which you can get individually or in a bundle with the other Shaperbox effects. This plugin is not new, it's been around for a few years now, but I still use it in pretty much every project because it has a nice interface and most importantly, it saves me time. Not to mention, it has some cool presets so I can quickly experiment with different patterns and get inspired. And you can try it for free. The link to their website is in the description below, so here's how to use it. For the most basic patterns, as soon as you load this plugin, you can just pick one of these shape presets. And they're the fastest way to get started. And already in the first row, you have the traditional sidechain shapes. Maybe you just want to separate your kick and bass, so there you go. And for maximum separation, use the trimming presets on your kick track, then fine tune it to match your kick's decay. Then copy and paste this plugin on your bass track and right click to flip this shape vertically, so this plugin affects both tracks in opposite directions. It shapes the kick's duration and ducks the bass accordingly. And I like how it starts decreasing the volume a little bit before the kick hits, which helps making sure it catches the bass transient, so it lets the kick transient shine by itself in the mix, which is one of the reasons why I use this for sidechaining instead of compressors. Even though there are workarounds with compressors, this is the easiest way to achieve it. You can even use this menu on the top to split bands so the sidechain only affects the low end. That way you preserve the mid-range transient your bass may have, if that's your intention. I find that very useful because sometimes sidechaining the whole sound can be too dramatic of an effect. And multiband processing usually affects the phase relationship a bit, but in all my tests, there's no noticeable artifacts in the sound with this plugin, especially when you listen in context. Now, besides sidechaining, the main reason why I actually use this plugin is to quickly come up with different rhythm patterns. And for this purpose, I usually have the LFO length at higher values, like a whole bar or up to 4 bars. For sidechaining, the most common rate is a quarter note, but for rhythmic patterns, longer duration allows for more intricate rhythms. When you load a new instance of VolumeShaper, you can pick one of these rhythm presets to get started and tweak them, or simply use the drawing tools on the top to make your own rhythm patterns. And this is where I have a lot of fun. Each one of these tools does a different thing, and there's a nice tooltip at the bottom. My favorite one, obviously, is the S Curves pen. So check this out. Boom, there's a rhythm pattern. And if it doesn't fit my song or inspire me to create something new, I can try different patterns with the other tools. I can move them around with the main tool. If I hold Control, then click, it creates an edgy point. And if I double click, it creates a more round point. Right-clicking the nodes change them from curved to smooth peak to a sharp peak. And I like that it has undo and redo features and a bunch more. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Alright, you can also change the LFO mode to Hertz if you want to create patterns that are not in sync with your song's BPM. I find this useful for creating morphing pads, but for rhythmic patterns, beat mode is the way to go. And if the effect is too much for your taste, you can use this LFO smooth feature to turn those sharp edges into round shapes. This will make the effect less noticeable. And if you still think it's too aggressive, you can reduce the mix fader to blend some of the dry signal. The top mix affects each band differently if you're using multi-band mode. but the bottom mix is global for all the effects that run inside Shaperbox. This plugin comes with its own basic compressor, which you can turn on here and expand it by clicking on this arrow icon to adjust the settings. And another useful feature is the MIDI switch. You can use MIDI to trigger different patterns. Maybe you want to have different patterns throughout your song. So save them in these slots. Turn the switch on, then you can trigger this pattern by sending a C# to Shaperbox in this example. Then we'll create the MIDI triggering track with no effect on it. Change the output to Shaperbox. Then place the MIDI notes in the spots you want to switch patterns. I'm looping that section and Shaperbox is switching patterns according to that MIDI clip I just created. However, keep in mind that these presets only stay in this instance of Shaperbox. The next time you load this plugin somewhere else, they won't be available unless you actually save them as presets on this bottom menu, which takes us to the next cool feature, the preset cloud. When you click this folder icon at the bottom, you'll find a library of presets with lots of user-made presets that are stored in the cloud. You can even filter by the type of preset and the modules they use. For instance, I could check the presets for ducking that only include the VolumeShaper module and exclude all the other Shaperbox effects. There are multiple presets to choose from, which can be very helpful if you're feeling uninspired. Now, if you experience latency in your sidechaining, for example, and these curves are not perfectly in sync with your DAW, you can try using MIDI triggering, which is a different feature than MIDI switch. Just turn MIDI trigger on here on the top with the one-shot mode. That means every MIDI note will trigger this pattern once, then as soon as it completes, it stops, instead of repeating endlessly like a regular LFO. Now, if you have both MIDI trigger and MIDI switch turned on, to avoid conflicts, the only note that will trigger the LFO is C. All the other notes will be used to switch patterns. So for example, look at this moving line. If I press C# or D, it changes the pattern. If I press C, it triggers the LFO. I'll press C#, press D, C# again. Now if I want to trigger the LFO, I press C. If you're using this to make room for drums, usually you want to align the MIDI triggering notes with your kick just a bit early, so the sidechain triggers before the kick transient, which gives it more room to hit harder and cut through the mix. If you like this plugin as much as I do, go check it out. The link's in the description below. Now, if you want to combine these awesome rhythm patterns with excellent bass lines in your productions, you have to watch this video where I'll show you the 7 steps to writing amazing MIDI bass lines.